A very good evening and thanks for clicking on to the Friday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. It is all about the zonal flat strong jet stream that is circling the hemisphere at the moment. We've got a particularly strong jet stream exiting Asia, crossing the Pacific into North America, and that is bringing a deluge day after day of very heavy persistent rainfall and major snowfall across the mountains of the Sierra Nevada of California, and that is making a massive impact on the severe drought that we had ongoing here. So this, in essence, is going to be a very, very good thing for parts of the western United States with this type of pattern. But it's all driven by a strong portion of the Manchurian Oscillation in a warm phase at the moment. So we've got strong convection over the maritime continent of Indonesia. So that is actually in forcing energy northwards in this general vicinity, powering the jet stream on the east coast of Asia and sending it across the Pacific into North America. And what that's doing, of course, is it's flooding the Pacific air across North America. We're also seeing a fairly strong jet stream at the moment, albeit a little bit to the south, across the Atlantic, and hence we're seeing very mild conditions and very wet conditions lifting northwards with each feature into the southern, particularly the southern half of the British Isles. In particular, we're seeing these features moving in from a west to southwesterly direction. We're kind of always hanging in on the cold air across the northern half of the British Isles. So what we're going to see is a huge contrast in temperature, not just tonight, but through Hogmanay into New Year's Day itself. And then we start to see a little bit of a change around as the jet stream then lifts a little bit further north, and those areas of low pressure will track further north. And we are, the majority of the UK being in the milder conditions with a further north tracking storm track. So, but you can see very plainly here what's going on. We've got this big, strong jet stream taking a dip over the western United States, and in turn, we are forcing the jet north over eastern North America, and with an area of high pressure on the east coast that is acting as a wheel, pulling very, very mild conditions out of the Caribbean up the eastern side of the United States, bringing very warm temperatures for the new year. And we're also kind of seeing that reflected in the European pattern as well. As we play through this loop here, you notice that we have got a strong jet stream ripping across the British Isles. This will be for the day tomorrow, so this is Hogmanay. But of course, with the jet stream moving into the southern half of Scandinavia, what we've got is high pressure to the south, and like we're seeing over eastern North America, we're seeing the same thing. Very, very warm air getting lifted north. We're going to probably see the warmest New Year's Day on record for many parts of the eastern United States and many parts of the European continent as well. But also what we're going to see is we're going to see a very significant temperature contrast as Scotland remains in the mild conditions. But you can see here that strong jet stream racing across the centre of Europe, and therefore we have got very little in the way of cold air to speak about. So let's have a look at the 2 meter temperature anomalies here for the same period that we've just looked at. And like I say, this is all driven largely by the Manchurian Oscillation in this position, continuing to fire up that strong jet. So you can see here the 2 meter temperature anomalies for the United States and for Europe here. So this is Europe here, of course. We've got eastern United States. I know that's kind of chopped off, so but you can see the general idea. This is the Great Lakes. Here's the northeast, Canada, and you've got the UK here, and of course you could almost draw a line on the England-Scotland border. North of that line, north of the border, we've got generally cooler conditions, but we've got very mild conditions across the south. We could see temperatures below freezing tonight, where it's only 12 to 13 Celsius around Southampton, Bournemouth, places like that. So an incredible contrast, actually, a very interesting contrast for sure. And then as we play kind of through the sequence here, we remain in very mild conditions across the eastern portion of North America. Notice the UK becomes a little bit cooler across for this general time frame here. So this is actually Tuesday of next week, the 3rd of January. And what we're going to see is we're going to continue to see this very unsettled pattern maintaining itself. And I don't really see any great changes in the near term, really, through at least the first half of January. I think it's going to be, on the whole, firmly Atlantic driven and fairly mild as well. Remember what my forecast says. It indicates that we are going to see predominantly mild first half to January at the very least, but keeping an eye on that MJO. Does it go into the favourable phases? And even if it does that have a response to the atmosphere across the hemisphere in a positive way, in a cold way? That remains very much open to question. But here's the contrast. Mild conditions south to southwesterly winds will be blowing pretty hard during the day tomorrow. So we're going to be seeing some very milder across most of England and Wales. Then, of course, across Scotland, with an area of low pressure just to the east, we're pulling our air in from the north. We're going to see ongoing rain, sleet showers to low levels across the Highlands in particular, away really from the central belt, I think, but further north. Temperatures are going to struggle to get above freezing, where it could be 14, possibly 15 Celsius if we get sunshine further south. So a very marked contrast as we go forward. So a cold north, a mild south to bring in 2023, as you can see here. And then as we continue to play through it, we'll lose a little bit of that mild air as the low exits to the east. It kind of drags a lot of cooler air right across the British Isles here, but nothing particularly noteworthy or anything like that. And then as we skip through into the new week next week, so this is the 2nd of January bank holiday, of course, we're casting our eyes here to the west. We've got areas of low pressure, milder conditions. You notice here that it's starting to track a little bit further north here as the jet stream starts to kind of lift north. And of course, we're remembering what's going on across North America. We've got the jet stream sinking south over the west. It's lifting north in the east. And in turn, that will set the stage to a milder setup across the British Isles through the course of week 1 of January 2023. So as we continue to play through this GFS loop, there we go for Tuesday. We're all in the milder conditions here. Then as that low exits, we'll see the colder air briefly. And it's going to be a kind of up and down temperature profile through the course of next week. As these systems approach, we'll see the mild conditions lift north. As they exit, we'll see the colder backside to these lows. But notice the position of the low. It's a way up towards Greenland and Iceland, as you can see here. And of course, as that colder gets dragged off Canada, warmer than normal Atlantic means that we're going to lose a lot of that cold air. So, these purples never ever make it to the British Isles because we've simply got too much mild ocean for it to cross. It will lose its grip. But notice here, there's a couple of little instances here on the backside. This is Tuesday of next week. Some of that air at 850, not too bad really cold wise. So we could still see wintry precipitation across particularly the hills and across the north. And we're kind of in that back and forth regime all the way through to the middle portion of the month here. So let's hone in on the British Isles for the period here over the next couple of days and see what the mols are indicating. So let's get back to the overview chart here and we'll have a look and see what each individual run is. So this is the GFS. We do have a little bit of an enhancement as that area of low pressure exits. Of course, you can see the difference in the winds here. Direction southwesterly across England and Wales, north to northwesterly across the north. Draw a line here and you've got a very significant contrast. So where would you like to be for the 30th, for tonight and tomorrow into the new year period? Would you rather have the cold, snowy conditions across the north of Scotland, or would you rather be down in London where the temperatures are well into double digits above the freezing mark? Let me know in the comments below what you think of that here. But you can see here quite clearly another band of rain, another area of low pressure lifting north during the course of tomorrow. That kind of then lifts away to the east. But notice the track. So these areas of low pressure are tracking to the south of Scotland, hence why Scotland's in the cold air, and they're lifting out with some rain, some snow north of England into the borders, into the southern uplands. For example, here we've got these showers continuing to pile into the far north of Scotland here. But certainly the GFS is indicating that this is the setup anyway. And then by the time we reach the second half of tomorrow, we've got this next band moving in. Certainly, the GFS is indicating that we could see some significant snow across the central belt of Scotland towards midnight tomorrow and into the new year. That's quite interesting actually, because the Met Office is not indicating that. And then as it lifts north, we could have a fairly snowy New Year's Day across the north. Again, England. Whoops. Let's get back. Again, England with the centre of the low to the north. We're in the milder southwesterly winds. But look at this here across the top, with colder in place in that low lift in north with its moisture. We could see some very interesting things, around the new year. Once the bells, hit, we could see some interesting weather between midnight tomorrow and through at least the first half of New Year's Day. So quite an interesting outlook, that's for sure. Let's have a look at the snow prospects here off the model and see what it's showing here. So let's get back to the current period. Of course, we've got a little bit of fresh snow on the ground across Scotland, where it has been fairly chilly up here in recent times. As we progress into the New Year's Day period here, it is indicating a little bit through the central belt, but look at a little bit through the southern half of Scotland, parts of Northern Ireland picking up a little bit of snow. But look at this here across the Highlands here. We could see some significant accumulation, some travel disruption if you happen to be on the roads on New Year's Day. That's quite interesting here. Let's have a quick look at the ECMWF and see what it's showing, because I am running out of time a little bit here. So let's play it through the loop, and you can see here the snow increasing across Scotland, a little bit across the Pennines of England. If you notice here, parts of Ireland. This is into the New Year Day, and is actually indicating some snow even through the central belt of Scotland during New Year's Day, which is quite interesting actually. Look at the overview chart real quick, and we can see what it's indicating. But certainly, it is rather interesting to see that we do have, like I kind of alluded to it a couple of days ago, that we could have a colder north miles south for the New Year period here. So this is, let's get back to the right chart. That would make sense. So here's that little enhancement of snow showers through the course of tonight and into tomorrow. There's that feature lift in north. Then as we push towards the Hogmanay period here, GFS, similar to the ECMWF, you notice here it's indicating snow through the central belt, and then as it lifts north, it kind of peters out, it kind of weakens, and then it clears away. And we could have some fairly chilly conditions actually that open the day on Monday and into the next week. So quite interesting to see. Let's have a look at the ECMWF. Is this the right chart? This is the month to date. So this is where we're looking at now. It will be a below normal month across the central portions of Asia, across Europe, including the British Isles and Ireland, Australia, and whatnot. Let's have a look at Europe. You can see that it has been a below normal month despite the mild conditions moving in across North America. It's looking like this here. We've got some exceptional cold across the western portion of the continent here. Much of the United States, bar the south, has been colder than normal. Very warm across the northeast, if you notice here. Much of Alaska also. And looking at the ECMWF extended chart here, so this is the weeklies here of the ECMWF. You can see here as we'll play it through, you notice here that there isn't any great changes, but what we do have is we start to cool things down over Asia, across Africa, Australia staying cold, South America staying cold, North America staying warm, which is quite interesting for the majority of January, and as you can see here. Notice here how much colder Africa, but also Asia is turning. That's quite interesting to see here. And even the British Isles will have to keep an eye on things as we go towards the second half of January. I'm interested to see what the ECMWF and the GFS has when the Manjulian oscillation progressing. What will happen from that response? That's going to be the going question. But I'm out of time. Thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. I will have a video tomorrow So stay tuned, hit that subscribe button if you